They thought they could ignore you. They thought they could dismiss you, undermine your every step, and push you aside like you were nothing. You were like a whisper in a storm, unnoticed, unheard, and left to fight on your own in the shadows. They didn't see your potential. They didn't see your fire. They only saw your quiet, unassuming presence. But now, the storm is shifting. Now you're no longer the background noise they could tune out. They underestimate. They thought you would fade into nothing. But you've been here all along, a force waiting to be recognized, waiting to make them hear you. You fought in silence. You gave everything you had and more, even when they turned their backs. They didn't acknowledge your struggle. They didn't notice the weight you carried. And even though it felt like you were walking alone, you kept going, didn't you? They thought your silence meant weakness, but it was just the calm before the storm. You bled for your dream. You poured everything into the hope of something more, of something greater. But they didn't see the scars you bore. They didn't see the sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the moments of doubt that you fought to keep buried. They couldn't see the pain because they refused to look. They kept their eyes turned away, pretending you weren't there. But that didn't stop you. That didn't make you disappear. You're still here. The world didn't just overlook you. They tried to bury you under their indifference. They thought that by ignoring you, you would break, that you would fall apart. But they didn't know you. They didn't understand the fire inside you, the fire that refused to be extinguished. And there's something deeper, isn't there? Your own mind, your own doubts, those whispers in the back of your head, telling you it wasn't worth it, telling you that you should give up. Those doubts were their last attempt to control you, to make you question your path, your worth. They wanted you to believe their lies, to believe you didn't matter. But you don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You are more than the words they spoke and the silence they imposed, and you'll show them just how wrong they were. You were there, but they didn't see you. You were in the room, standing among them, but it was as if you didn't exist. Your voice, your thoughts, your presence, they didn't hear a thing. You spoke with conviction, with passion, but they pretended you were invisible. The weight of that rejection crushed you in ways words cannot express. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but the silence was deafening. You were the shadow in their light, always in the background, always there but never acknowledged. They were busy with their lives, their ambitions, their noise, and you were just a whisper, an afterthought, someone who didn't deserve their attention, their time, their validation. Yet you were always there. You never left. You watched from the edges, quietly growing in the darkness, nurturing your strength. They thought they had the power to ignore you, to shut you out. But what they didn't understand is that the shadows are where the light comes from. And now they will see. You were never weak. You were simply waiting. The rejection stung, didn't it? The coldness, the indifference. They told you that you weren't enough. You didn't have the right name, the right face, the right pedigree. They painted you as less than, unworthy, insignificant. They looked at you and saw nothing but flaws, nothing but limitations. They tried to convince you that you were an outsider, that you didn't belong. They made you feel small, invisible, like a ghost, walking in a world that didn't care. And there were times when you almost believed them. You doubted yourself. You wondered if maybe they were right. Maybe you weren't enough. Maybe you were just a dreamer, caught in a world that had no place for you. The mirror became your enemy. Every time you looked, you saw someone who was not enough. You saw imperfections, flaws, the things they had told you were wrong with you. And the doubts, they spiraled. Every step forward felt like an uphill battle. Every decision seemed harder than the last. And the dreams? They started to fade. They became distant. But even in those moments of darkness, something inside you refused to let go. They didn't see you. They didn't hear you. They didn't care. But you kept going. Even when they said no. Even when they told you to stop. You didn't listen to their rejection. You didn't let their words define you. You kept moving forward. One step, one breath, one day at a time. and you didn't stop. Even when they couldn't see the fire in your eyes, you kept it burning. Even when they didn't understand your worth, you knew what you were capable of. You didn't need them to validate your existence, to tell you that you belong. You proved it with every action, every word, every heartbeat. You were more than their rejection. You were more than the noise they made. You were building something they couldn't see, something stronger than any word they could say. And now they'll regret not looking your way, because the fire inside you was always meant to burn brighter than they ever imagined. There came a moment, didn't there? A moment when everything shifted, when the fog lifted, and you saw yourself for what you truly were, a warrior, a force of nature that had simply been dormant. You'd been playing the victim, hadn't you? You had let their words, their dismissals, their rejections define you. You let the world write your story, but one day you realized your story wasn't over. It was never over. You were never weak. You were just sleeping, waiting for the right time to awaken. And when that time came, the world wasn't ready for what it was about to witness. You rose. You stood. You became the force they could no longer ignore. And once you woke up, nothing could stop you. They didn't see you coming, did they? They didn't know the storm that was about to hit them. They had no idea what you were capable of. But now, they will. Every failure, every rejection that they thought would break you, every time they tried to bury you under their indifference, it was all fuel for your fire. You were forged in the flames of adversity, made stronger by every hardship they threw your way. They thought they could crush you. They thought they could drown you in defeat. But what they didn't realize is that those flames were only shaping you, sharpening you, and turning you into something that could never be extinguished. You've become the weapon they never saw coming, the force they underestimated. And now they'll feel the heat of your strength, the force of your presence. They tried to tear you down, but you are the one who will rise, more powerful, more relentless than ever before. You rebuilt yourself, didn't you? Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you found your strength again. You picked up the pieces, piece by piece, until you had something even greater than what you were before. You became sharper, more focused, and more relentless. You are no longer the person who walked into that room unnoticed. No, now you walk in with a purpose. You walk in with a fire that no one can ignore. It wasn't easy, but you didn't give up. Even when they left you for dead, when they thought you were done, you fought through the darkness. You fought for your dreams. You fought for your future, and you emerged from that struggle stronger than they could ever have imagined. And then something changed. You found your voice. You found your power. You no longer needed to whisper. You no longer needed to stay in the shadows. You were no longer the person they could overlook. You became impossible to ignore. And when you walked into the room, they saw you. They saw the fire in your eye. They saw the strength in your presence. They could no longer pretend that you weren't there. They couldn't deny your power. They listened when you spoke. They feared what they saw because they knew they couldn't stop you now. You were no longer just a whisper in the storm. You were the storm. And now they can't look away. Now they know who you are. They didn't believe in you. They didn't think you had what it took. But now they can't ignore you. The very same people who dismissed you, who turned their backs on you, are the ones who can't look away. You became their biggest distraction. They tried to pretend you were nothing, that you didn't matter. But all it took was for you to step into your power. And now they're watching you, consumed by what you've become. Their silence is no longer deafening. It's their desperate attempt to avoid acknowledging the truth. You've become the force they never saw coming. They thought they could bury you. They thought they could leave you behind. But now, you're the storm they can't outrun. The winds are picking up, and they feel the tremors of your rise. Their words are sharp, meant to tear you down, but your actions are louder. Your progress, your resilience, your strength, it speaks for itself. They tried to write you off. They thought you'd fade away. Now they wish they had never written you in the first place. They've underestimated you, and now they have no choice but to watch you take what is rightfully yours. The power has shifted, hasn't it? They thought you would fade away into nothingness, but now it's them who are scrambling to keep up. They thought you were weak, that you wouldn't last, but they didn't realize that you were the storm waiting to strike, the wave that couldn't be held back. You're the one they didn't see coming, and now they can't escape the force of your presence. You're relentless, you're unstoppable, and you're only getting stronger. You've become the very thing they feared, unpredictable, fierce, and unstoppable. They are running out of excuses, running out of time, and running out of ways to deny the truth. You are no longer the person they thought they could control. You are breaking free, tearing down everything they tried to impose on you, and you're moving faster than they can keep up. They're playing catch-up, but they'll never catch you. You were never meant to fit their mold, were you? You were never meant to be just another face in the crowd, another voice in the noise. No, you were meant to shatter their expectations, to break the chains they tried to place around you. You were meant to rise above the noise, to rewrite the rule. And now that you've done it, there's no going back. You've embraced who you truly are, the person they tried to suppress, the person they tried to dismiss. Now, you're owning your legacy. You're no longer just surviving, you're thriving. Every step you take is a testament to your strength, your resilience, your power. You're the hero of your own story, and no one can take that away from you. The journey isn't over yet, but you've already proven something crucial. You've proven that nothing can stop you once you realize who you truly are. And from here on out, nothing will stand in your way. You've reclaimed your power. You've stepped into your destiny. And now, the world will know who you are. Now it's your time. The world doesn't get to tell you when you can rise. You've already shown them your power. You've already proven that they can't control you, that you can't be held down. There's no waiting anymore. There's no asking for permission. The only thing left to do is to rise, to fight, to lead. You've earned the right to be seen, to be heard, to be feared. The time for hiding is over. You've spent too long in the shadows, too long letting others define your path. It's time to take the rein. You've got the strength. You've got the fire. Now you must use it. Don't ask for a seat at the table. Take it. Don't wait for someone to open the door. Break it down. Rise, fight, lead. The world will either fear you or follow you, but they won't forget you. You're no longer the person they could ignore. You're no longer the one they could push aside. You're the force that's going to tear down everything they've built around themselves. They thought they could overlook you. They thought they could keep you quiet, unseen, unheard. They thought you would fade into nothingness, but they didn't know what you were capable. They didn't know that you were the storm, the wave that was coming to change everything. You're not just a distraction, not just something to be brushed aside. You are their greatest fear. You are the one they can't control, the one who will rise and take everything they never thought you could claim. They tried to bury, to make you small, but now they'll see what happens when you finally awaken, when you rise with everything you've got. You are not just their biggest distraction. You are the force they'll never forget. You are the power that will shatter their world and build something stronger in its place. You are not just surviving anymore. You're thriving. You're not just here to make it through. You're here to change the game. And when it's all said and done, they'll look back and realize they could never stop you. They'll realize that they were just the background noise in your symphony. You were the storm they thought would pass them by, but in the end, you were the storm that tore their world apart. You were always the power, the force. They just didn't see it, but they will. And they'll never forget the day they tried to ignore you. Because you were always meant for this. You were always meant to rise. Now go and take what's yours.